All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible and, honestly, urgent stories happening right outside our front doors. It's all about nature's own super precise internal clock and what's happening now that it's starting to run way too fast.
You've probably felt this, right? That little feeling that the daffodils are popping up just a bit sooner, or the birds are singing their spring tunes a little ahead of schedule. Well, guess what? You're not imagining it. Something really big is shifting in the world around us.
So to really get what's going on, we first need to get our heads around this beautiful idea, nature's grand alarm clock.
Now, the science behind this has a fancy name, phenology. But really, just think of it as the study of nature's calendar. When do the buds burst? When do swallows come back? When do the bees wake up? It's this incredibly delicate, interconnected system. It's like a finely tuned clock spring, wound perfectly each year. Only now, it feels like that spring is being wound way, way too tight.
And the fallout from this? Well, it's staggering. A huge report, the State of Nature 2023, gave us a pretty stark warning. Here in the UK, 1 out of every 6 species is now at risk of just disappearing. That makes this one of the most nature-depleted countries on the planet.
And this threat isn't hitting everyone equally. Not at all. The report shows some groups are under enormous pressure. We're talking 43% of bird species are threatened. For amphibians and reptiles, it's 31%. And these are not just statistics, They represent a massive disruption to the whole system, and it's all being driven by these little shifts in timing.
So, how on earth does a plant know it's time to wake up? It's not just a lucky guess, it's this incredibly smart system. Let's get into the science of when.
Plants basically have a checklist. First up, they need what's called winter chilling, a good solid cold snap so they know winter actually happened. Then, they move on to spring forcing, where they just start soaking up warmth, kind of like a solar panel charging up. And the final check? The photo period, how long the days are. This is the crucial last step, so some random warm day in February doesn't trick them into blooming too early.
Now here's where it gets a little weird. You would think a warmer spring means plants grow faster, right? Simple. Well, not always. If a spring gets too hot, too quickly, a plant's response can actually slow right down. The change is just too much, too fast for its biology to keep up.
Scientists even have a name for this struggle: phenological lag. It's the gap between how a plant should be reacting to the temperature and how it actually is. When we see a lag, it's a huge red flag that other things, like a drought or not enough cold in the winter, are slamming the brakes on the whole system.
And this right here, this is the heart of the problem. Those brakes are not being hit evenly. Different bits of nature are changing at totally different speeds, and the result is a rhythm that's falling completely out of sync.
Okay, so here's the first piece of the puzzle. We have data going back 250 years, and it shows that for every single degree Celsius the spring warms up, plants are flowering on average 5 days earlier.
But, and this is a big but, their partners, the pollinators, are moving even faster. British bees, they're coming out of hibernation 6.5 days earlier for that exact same 1-degree temperature change. I think you can see where this is going.
And there it is, the mismatch, plain as day. The bees show up 6.5 days early, but their food, the flowers, they're only 5 days early. That creates this gap. Now, a day and a half might not seem like a lot to us, but if you're a bee that's just woken up starving, that's a life-threatening window of hunger.
And this problem just cascades through the whole food web. Think about the pied flycatcher. This little bird migrates thousands of miles, and its arrival is timed perfectly for when caterpillars are at their peak, the perfect food for its chicks. But now, the caterpillars are peaking earlier, so the birds arrive to find the buffet's already closed. The feast is over.
This new, out-of-sync world is creating a really clear divide. You have species that are flexible enough to roll with the punches, and those that just aren't. It's creating winners, and it's creating a lot of losers.
So on one side, you've got the generalists, the winners, like carrion crows. They'll eat pretty much anything so they can adapt. But on the other side are the specialists. Their entire survival is tied to one specific thing. The black darter dragonfly, for instance, is losing its wetland home to increased fire risk. Barn owls and kestrels really struggle when the vole population, their main food, crashes during a drought. Their very specialization has become their biggest vulnerability.
I mean, the seasonal signals are getting totally scrambled. This quote really says it all. It paints this picture of a completely topsy-turvy world. We're seeing flowers in autumn and butterflies still flying around in November. It's like the seasons themselves are confused, which just shows you how deep this disturbance goes. Okay, hearing about a system this messed up can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. But the story absolutely does not end here. In fact, understanding this rhythm is the very first step to helping fix it, and that is where you come in. It's time to become a watcher.
Huge research projects, like Nature's Calendar, are literally powered by thousands of regular people. Your observations, that first flower you see, the first butterfly, that becomes the actual data scientists use to track these changes. You are the front line.
And it's so simple to do. On your next walk, just keep your eyes open. When did you see that first snowdrop? When did you hear that first swallow? Recording these firsts gives us priceless information that helps us figure out how healthy our local environment really is.
Look, the data is tough to hear. A 19% average drop in species abundance is a serious, serious warning. But it is not a reason to give up. The most important message from all of this research is actually one of hope, because we know that conservation really does work when we commit to it.
And we've got proof. We're seeing successful river restoration projects that make the whole ecosystem tougher against drought. And we've got the incredible news of 4 beaver kits being born in local wetlands. These wins show us that when we act, we can help nature get back on its feet and start to heal. So, we end up here. Nature's grand alarm clock. It's ringing. It's louder and more urgent than it's ever been. Its timing is changing, and it's sending a very, very clear signal. The only real question left is, are we listening?